Hello subscribers, it's David Hoffman, filmmaker, on a pretty dark day here in California, as you can see. So look, I'm looking at these demonstrations, these sometimes violent demonstrations, these riots, and I'm thinking back to 1967, 1968, where I was a young filmmaker, and I was filming all kinds of stuff involved with the riots that were going on at that time. And the one that I'm really thinking about right now is 1967 Detroit.
4 days of rioting, looting, and arson rocked the city of Detroit in the worst outbreak of urban racial violence this year. Entire blocks of homes become infernos.
50 people got killed, 7,000 some arrested, 200 buildings destroyed. It was like a bombed out city. I was there at that time doing some documentary filming, and it was shocking. It was horrible, and it was a kind of a precursor to what was going to come in 1968. So step back with me for a minute in time to Detroit, even before that time. What was going on? Well, first of all, from the time that it was any violence of any kind, the whites moved out of the cities into the suburbs. The suburbs were growing, and the suburbs were white. Why were they white? First of all, redlining. If you were a black family, you couldn't move to the suburbs because they said no houses available. If you were a black family, the banks wouldn't give you a loan. Also, it was a time when there was real separation between the white school and the black school. And clearly they were not separate but equal. The black schools were horribly underfunded. It was pathetic for a major city to see what an inner city black school was like. And then, of course, let's look at the police. So the police were supposed to be protecting the community, but they definitely were not doing that in the black communities. What they were doing was controlling. They were very threatening. They harassed people all the time. It was not a good situation between the police and the people who lived there. And of course, in 1967, an incident in what was called the Long Hot Summer. And an incident, a single incident, touched off the Detroit riots. I was doing some filming 2 weeks later. It looked like you were in a bombed out city. Lyndon Johnson had to do something. Governor Romney had to do something, the father of Mitt Romney. He was a Republican governor at the time. He says to Lyndon Johnson, "Call in the National Guard, we need help."
Governor Romney declares a state of emergency, requests federal troops, and 5,000 paratroopers reinforce the National Guard. A besieged city of guerrilla warfare.
At 10:56 this morning, I received a wire from Governor Romney officially requesting that federal troops be dispatched to Michigan. Law enforcement is a local matter. It is the responsibility of local officials and the governors of the respective states. The federal government should not intervene except in the most extraordinary circumstances. The fact of the matter, however, is that law and order have broken down in Detroit, Michigan. Pillage, looting, murder, and arson have nothing to do with civil rights. They are criminal conduct, and the federal government, in the circumstances here presented, had no alternative but to respond, since it was called upon by the governor of the state, and since it was presented with proof of his inability to restore order in Michigan.
So Lyndon Johnson, seeming to really care about this issue, calls on a commission.
On July 29th, President Johnson established a special advisory commission on civil disorders to delve deeply into the social soul of the nation. The president reminded the commission,
"We need to know the answer, I think, to 3 basic questions about these riots. What happened? Why did it happen? What can be done to prevent it from happening again and again?"
Now, Lyndon Johnson already had an opinion about this, and much of the press did also. They called it outside agitators, who they said were communists. That's what people believed, that's what the press said, that's what Lyndon Johnson said, and the commission set to work to find out the truth, what occurred. So then, after a period of time, the commission gave its report. Now, pretty much everybody expected that they would say outside agitators, communists, here's what we got to do. That is not what they said. The report was a true, we hear this all the time, bombshell. This was a bombshell.
On March 1st, 1968, the Kerner Commission published a report that said America was becoming two societies, black and white, separate and unequal. It urged the nation to tear down racial barriers to opportunity in education, employment, housing, government, and the media.
It was a mandate, had the president chosen to take it and say, by God, we didn't know how serious the problem was. There is racism in this society. It is deep. And since I have said that I am going to be the president who finishes what Lincoln started, he could have used that as a springboard for more social action.
First of all, they concluded that the police did not protect citizens, but tried to control them and harass them, and that they used aggressive force when aggressive force was not necessary. Second, they concluded that it was an incredibly unfair justice system, that when black people got arrested, what happened to them was not what happened to white people. Third, they concluded that the housing in Detroit was horrible. I saw some of that. Really hard to believe what people were living in and paying rent on. And fourth, they looked at high unemployment, hugely high unemployment, and also voter suppression. They looked at the fact that the black inner city community was being blocked from voting in a surprising number of cases. And they concluded there was no outside agitation. There weren't anybody they could find as communists. How did Lyndon Johnson react? How did the public react? Well, Lyndon Johnson, our president, ignored it, completely ignored it, didn't talk about it, never mentioned the commission again. And I think something like 60% of the American people didn't believe the report. It had to be wrong. And then that fall, the 1968 election for president, Richard Nixon, running as a candidate, runs on law and order. I'm going to establish control. I'm going to get these cities in control. And he wins, not by a lot, but he wins on the law and order issue. And going forward, there are more cities that rebel, that have these law and order candidates, send in the force doesn't work. Take a look at Miami, Los Angeles, St. Petersburg, Cincinnati, Oakland, Ferguson, and you'll see the same behavior over and over again. Police force, National Guard, troops, more violence. So I look at the comments on my posts on this era, and so many of you say that things haven't changed. Look at that. It's just like it was back then. And I thought about that, and here's my opinion. It isn't. I believe that most people today have a more humane feeling about these inner city people, the experiences they're living with, tend to believe that, sure, there are bad police, I'm not talking about that, that the relationship between the police and the community inside these communities could be better. But I feel generally that we care in America, that we want to improve things. And I thought you might find it interesting to look at Detroit as an example of the kind of violence that people fear and that law and order is coming up again. Thank you for watching my video. Thank you for being a subscriber. David Hoffman, filmmaker.